Okay, I'm going to go live now, Ryan. So best of luck.
Thanks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our professional BT webinar today. Today, we're going to be talking about email marketing, specifically email isn't dead, how to use it to grow your salon business. Now, this couldn't be a more topical subject at the moment with everybody in lockdown and closure. Email and social marketing are your main forms of communication at the moment. Today, I'm joined with the lovely Ryan Power. He's the founder of BT Coaching Business Salonology, and he's going to be talking about why email marketing is alive and kicking and how you can use it to grow your beauty salon business, specifically talking about covering engaging subject lines and, more importantly, what to write when you just don't know what to write. So Ryan, thank you so much for joining today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for asking me on.
No, of course. And guys, while you're watching, if any of you have any questions for Ryan, just pop it in the chat box and we will do a Q&A with him at the end. So, any burning questions, pop them in and we'll have loads of time to answer them. But Ryan, I'm going to turn my camera and my mic off and let you get going with your presentation, and I'll see you at the end for the Q&A.
Great. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you so much. No, thanks so much.
See you for the Q&A. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan. Thank you for having me. Big thanks to Pro Beauty for asking me to come on and present to you today. This might not be like some normal webinars that you see if you're not used to me or my world, because I tend to go quite fast and I tend to jump around a little bit, and I want to make it as engaging as possible for you. So hopefully that is good for you. I'm going to go pretty quick. I'll be honest, because we've got a lot of ground to cover and we've not got much time to do it in. So first and foremost, hi, I'm Ryan. Hey, leave us a comment. Let me know where you are, because it'll be really cool to see whereabouts in the world you are. I'm just going to use the opportunity to share my screen. Hopefully you can see that. If someone could let me know in the comments that you can see the screen, that would be super helpful, because what we're going to talk about today is email marketing, and why, importantly, it's not dead. Okay, I often see these headers, oh, email is dead, because maybe it's not the most fashionable type of marketing right now, because it's TikTok, isn't it? Everyone wants to be on TikTok. Or maybe, or should I be in Instagram stories? All these different things, right? But good news is that email isn't dead. It's still very much alive and kicking. And today, as Amanda mentioned, I'm going to run through some tips that you can take away to start applying these for your own business to help you engage and re-engage with your clients. Sound good? All right, I'm going to assume it does sound good. So this is the mercifully short introduction to me. That's me. Yeah, or was the other way? Who cares? I'm Ryan Power. I'm a beauty business coach. I'm also a best-selling author, and I'm a marketing geek, self-confessed. My wife Holly and I run a coaching community, Salonology. And I don't know if you've heard of us or not, but we run a variety of group coaching programs to help salon owners to grow their business and, live the life they deserve and all those good things. This is me and the good lady wife Holly at one of our events. Some people did turn up. That was before it started, right? And you can probably work out for yourself which is which. As I mentioned, I'm also a best-selling author. This is my book, The Customer is Always Right, and 7.5 other outdated myths which are destroying your beauty business. And the reason why I'm showing that up is actually the very first chapter in that book is relevant to what we're going to talk about today. I also wanted to show you this. This is our day spa and salon. My wife Holly and I have been beauty business owners just like you, okay? So we owned our day spa in Bournemouth. We actually sold it just this year, in January of this year. This year would have been our 11th year of owning it. So the stuff I'm going to talk about today is stuff that we did in our business. This isn't just like some marketing textbook speak written by someone that's never set foot in a salon before. We've lived it, breathed it, owned it, just like you. So I promise what I'm going to talk about works. It's worked for our businesses, and it also works for many of the other businesses that we coach as well. And it helped us to take our salon. It was started off as just an empty space, a conference room in a hotel. And it was very much my wife Holly's brainchild and great design that she had for it. and it grew to start off as just 3 treatment rooms and ended up with 9 treatment rooms, 2 lounges, a whole host of awards, and it returned for us a very, very nice lifestyle as well. And a lot of this business was built on email, okay? And that's why I wanted to show you and talk to you about this today. And just to kind of prove, so these are some stats that I pulled out in January before we sold to show how many emails that we had sent. So you can see as our spa, we've sent nearly 500,000 emails. And in our coaching brand Stanology, we sent nearly 250,000 emails. So I do like to think I know a thing or two about sending emails, okay? So, right, this is your last chance to go and grab a pen and go and grab some paper, because you're going to want to take some notes, folks. There's going to be some gold in the next, what have we got, 24 minutes or so. And then I'm going to hang around at the end. Amanda's going to come back on and I'll promise to answer any of your questions. Sound good? If that sounds good, put yes in the comments. Let me know. Let me know you can hear me. Excellent. That sounds good. Wonderful. In that case, let's crack on, shall we? So, all right. Let's get going. So, email, it's not dead. It's very much still alive and kicking, and we're going to look at how to do it as well. Okay, so the problem with email, okay, guys, the biggest problem with email is that most people are doing it wrong. Email fundamentally as a platform is not dead, but the way people send it is. It's wrong, okay? Or certainly not to the best of their possibilities. They send the wrong type of email, okay? And additionally, they send them far too infrequently, okay? So my goal for you today is to show you a new way, okay? A way which will result in more client interaction. Oh, I've just realized you can't see my slides properly. Never mind. Should have checked that before we started, shouldn't we? It's going to be result in more bookings for you. It's going to take far less time. And additionally, it's not going to require any tricky technology whatsoever. It's free to do, largely email, which is awesome. And also, your clients will love it. Does that sound good? I think that sounds like a good goal, doesn't it? So, all right. First and foremost, I've got a question for you, and that is, does this look familiar? Oh, does that look familiar? I'm sure you've seen some of these before. Do these look anything like the emails that you send? Okay, so these are like the classic newsletter style emails, aren't they? You see these templates that MailChimp very kindly make for you. They make it all look nice and pretty and flashing and nice big images, okay? But answer this question for me, right? Would you rather receive an email from one of your friends, or would you rather receive an email that looks like it's a newsletter from like one of the supermarkets, right? And that was a rhetorical question, okay? Because obviously we would all rather receive an email from one of our friends, wouldn't we, than a newsletter from one of the big high street retailers or from a supermarket. So the question is, therefore, why are we mimicking what the supermarkets send out? Why are we copying this type of email that gets sent by, Boohoo or by Misguided or companies like that? And you know the ones I mean, they've got great big flashing images and 50% off slapped all over it and all this type of thing. Why send that type of email when actually we could recreate the emails which we send actually one-to-one, person-to-person, which we know that we prefer to receive? We're hardwired to open, read, and enjoy emails from our friends, okay? So why don't we model those instead? It kind of makes much more sense. And not only that, the newsletter style of email, they actually just don't work as well as they once did, and for many, many reasons as well, okay? To begin with, they get stuck in email spam filters, okay? They don't look very good on mobile phone a lot of the time because they're not optimized properly. They look different on each device. The images often don't even load, so you've just got like big splats of white text in the message. And do you know what? They're normally veiled as a, a thinly veiled sales pitch. That's how people look at them. They see a newsletter and people are already thinking, what are they going to be trying to sell me? What are they trying to sell me? And they're kind of on the back foot before they've even started, right? So, and lastly, and I'm sorry to break this news to you, but actually, most people don't care about your newsletter. Most people only care about their own problems and how you can maybe help them with them, okay? So your news, per se, is something which a lot of people aren't that bothered about, right? So here's a really simple strategy that you can put into place of how you can counterbalance this, right? And it requires much less work, you'll be pleased to hear as well. So if you have a newsletter type email that you currently send, maybe it's divided up into like 4 little topics normally, aren't they? They have little subsections, 4 bits of news, right? So instead of sending it all in one mail, what you do is split your news into 4 plain text weekly emails. And by plain text, that means there's no formatting on there. Okay, so no pictures, no fancy templates, no big colourful pink writing which is flashing everywhere and it's got glitter all over it. None of that. Okay, just a plain text email which looks like the same emails you send your friends when you say, shower me up on Friday, fancy some wine. Okay, so you split that up and it's the same content, but you're just delivering it in a different format. Okay, and here's why this works so much better. Okay, so first and foremost, it's more personal, right? It looks like it's being sent from one person to one person, which is what we as human beings respond to much better than something which looks like it's come from like big business. Okay, not only that, but people buy from people and they don't buy from brands, right? They buy from people that they know, people that they like, and people that they trust. And this way of sending emails will help bring people closer to you, okay? Additionally, it's going to help you build relationships, right? Because people are going to know a bit more about you. I'm going to suggest in a moment as well that you start to peel back the curtain a little bit and let people in. So it's going to be about helping to build those relationships, because do you know what? People want to know the person behind the brand. As I said, people buy people. So they want to get to know the person behind the company. Don't hide behind your company logo. People want to know you, the owner, okay? Now, additionally, it means that you can stay front of mind, because here's the truth. If you're sending out emails 1 per month at the moment, your voice is just never going to be heard by your clients. On average, we receive 140 emails a day. That's a lot of noise, all fighting for your attention in the inbox. If you're sending them weekly, straight away, you've got a greater likelihood of staying front of mind. Because not all of your emails are going to be open. They're certainly not all going to be read. Some of them might not even all be delivered. So if you're only doing it once a month, you're just not giving yourself a chance. So split them up, do them weekly, schedule them all in one sitting, and you can get it all done in a fraction of the time with a much bigger impact, okay? This is one of the best things. Almost everyone that I've taught this concept to who has actually picked the ball up and ran with it, one of the first things they all say is, I can't believe how many people started replying to my emails. If you send out a newsletter type email at the moment, you probably don't get that many replies, because people don't feel like you're actually sending you as an individual an email. They just think, oh, it's a blanket broadcast email that's going to thousands of people potentially. There's no personal communication or interaction there. By sending a plain text email, which is literally written as, Dear Sue, how are you doing? Chatty style, you will get people actually start responding. Even if you're actually sending it to thousands of people, people will still believe that you're sending it just to one person, and they're way more likely to respond. So you'll actually start getting people respond to you. You will find your open rates will increase as well, because they're going to get used to this new style of email you're sending. Ultimately, you're going to get more sales, because more open rates equals more sales. You're going to build stronger relationships with your clients, and you will go from being an inbox pest to a trusted friend. Because actually, as I mentioned earlier, when people know you, like you, and trust you, you're way more likely to be able to generate sales by sending email, or at least, encourage people to come and give you a try. And this all starts with moving away from that newsletter style, okay? Which, by the way, if that's you and you're like, oh yeah, I'm still sending newsletter, don't worry about it. Most people do, okay? Most people do. For some reason, it's been taught that it's a good way to do it, but it's not. Most people get terrible returns from it. And I promise you, because we've tried and tested it, this way you will get much, much better returns, okay? So a couple of key takeaways for you. Number one, start writing emails as though you are emailing a friend, right? What you want to do, and here's a really top tip. In fact, you should do this as well for like your social media posts, everything, right? Write them as if you're writing it to one person, okay? Have that one person in your mind. You probably want to make them your dream client, okay? So dream client in your mind, and write your email as if you're writing it just to them. And I also recommend that you write it in a chatty style. Don't be formal about it. A chatty email like you would send a friend is going to get you much, much greater responses. And you want to make sure that it looks like it's being sent from one person to be responded by one person, okay? So don't ever start your broadcast email with something like, dear all, or dear newsletter subscriber, or dear everyone. Don't do any of that. It's email suicide, okay? Use their name if you can, using a merge tag. But if not, just hey, comma, is absolutely fine, right? You also want to space it out so it's easy to read. Big chunks of text turn people off. So just space it out the same as that you would, okay? And go easy on the photos. As I mentioned earlier, they get stuck in filters. They don't load half the time. Loads of email programs have got image blockers, so they'll just be like a white space and it'll look rubbish. And think about it. If you're emailing a friend, how many photos do you normally put in your messages to them? Probably none, right? So you might want to do it every now and then, but you're not going to want to do it all the time. Okay, key takeaway number 2. You don't need to be talking about business all the time. And this is the one of the areas where I see people trip up more than anything else, right? They think they've got to be talking about their business in everything that they do. And they don't, all right? People actually want to know, as we said earlier, they want to know the person behind the business, right? They want to get to know you. So don't be afraid to talk about you occasionally and your life and other stuff that's just got nothing to do with your business. So people want to get to know you. Don't be afraid to pull back the curtain a little, okay? You want to pull it back and and reveal a little bit, right? Because guess what? Business can be fun, folks. It doesn't all need to be stuffy. And whilst I'm not saying be unprofessional, what I am saying is you can have a bit of fun with it. That's absolutely fine. Your marketing should, the number one sin is being boring. Don't be boring. And a lot of people are in business, right? They're stuffy. By being a bit more fun, you're going to stand out. And actually standing out is a really, really good idea, typically. Okay, so number 3 key takeaway. And I hope you're getting some value, by the way. If this is good stuff, put yes in the comments. Let me know if we're going in the right direction. I know I'm going quick. And for the people that are asking about the slides, I can help you with that afterwards as well, okay? All right, lots of yeses, brilliant. So key takeaway number 3, tell stories in your emails, right? Storytelling is good. And in fact, again, do it in all of your media, right? Because we are hardwired to respond positively to stories, right? Because think about it. Since little kids, what was the last thing we did before we went to bed every night? If we were a good boy or girl, we might get told a story, mightn't we, by mummy or daddy, right? So as human beings, we've been indoctrinated to respond to stories. You've got to tell more stories in your business. You've got to sell loads more, right? So tell stories about you. Tell stories about your team. Tell stories about your clients' successes, right? Don't be afraid to shout about these things. It can be stories about anything, literally anything. You could tell a story about what happened when you had to drop little Hermione off at the nursery this morning and she felt like got a little boo-boo on her knee. Whatever it might be, right? Anything in there. Your clients will be interested, I promise you. And You're going to stand out because guess what? Your clients, your competition rather, are not going to be doing this, okay? You also want to consider using open loops and cliffhangers in your emails, right? So think about EastEnders, okay? What do EastEnders do at the end of every single episode? In the 5 seconds before the dum 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 dum, right? What do? They leave you on the edge of a cliff, don't they? Oh my God, not Brian. Is he going to get hit by that car? Who knows, right? Why do they do that? Because they want you to tune into the next episode, don't they? Right. You can do the same thing in your emails. So you send one email and you line something up and you basically suggest, look, if you want to know where this is going, you need to open the next one, which is coming tomorrow, right? If anyone saw Gavin and Stacey on Christmas Day, right, just gone, then that was like the ultimate open loop, wasn't it? They ended with that absolute cliffhanger, and it was like, oh my God, where's this going to go? Who knows, right? Who knows if they'll ever close that loop, in fact. You can do the same thing. And guess what? You're going to get better with practice. Are you going to be brilliant at this to start with? No. But guess what? No one is any good at anything the first time they do it. So don't worry about it. What were you like at tying your shoes at the first attempt? Probably not great, right? So you will get better and better the more you do. Key takeaway number 4 is don't be selling all the time. Don't make it, because if you sell all the time on your emails, you're going to condition your audience not to open them, right? And that's no good for anyone. So don't sell all the time. They'll soon stop opening them if you do that. Instead, you want to adopt the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time, be giving value, right? Be giving benefits for reasons for people to open your email. And that kind of buys you the right then to maybe do a soft sell 20% of the time. And here's what I like to do. If you're worrying about how can I sell in an email, here's a really simple strategy that you can all try straight away. Send a value-filled email, okay? So let's say, for example, what you actually want to sell is a new foot cream. So you send a value-filled email, which might be something along the lines of 5 foot care tips you can do at home this summer, right? Something like that. And you write this email, which is really, really helpful, right? You give them some really good information to help them with their feet, right? And then what you do at the end of the email is you do a PS, and you say, PS, if you've enjoyed this and you're having some problems with your feet and you need a new foot cream, here's the one we recommend, right? You sell in the PS because you've given massive value first, so no one's going to get offended by that. And hopefully you've actually created a bit of a desire and a bit of urgency for it at the same way. So you can definitely do that, okay? Key takeaway number 5 is don't constantly promote offers and last minute spaces. I see this all the time, right? And I'm on the mailing list for lots and lots of salons, okay? And I see it on the social media as well all the time. Oh, last minute availability, right? And it's like at 9, 9:15, 9:20, 9:45. It's like the whole day. You know, what message are you sending out to your clients when you're always sending emails with last minute spaces or with offers, right? Okay. You're not sending the right message, are you? Are you saying to them they should just wait until you've got an offer? Because guess what? Some people are doing that. Or even worse, are you telling them they never need an appointment? Because if they think you've always got 10 spaces in your diary, where's the incentive to book? There isn't one, okay? So be careful. Key takeaway number 6 is be different. And again, you want to actually apply this throughout your business wherever you can. Try and be different to what everyone else. Your competition, by the way, unless they've been taking notes as well furiously, right? They won't be doing this strategy that I'm talking about today. They won't be doing it. They'll be sending the newsletter, right? So instead, do it this way and you are going to stand out from your competition. Not only that, you will also get your voice heard, okay? Because you're going to find people actually reading and engaging with your content way, way more than they currently do. And actually, nowadays, here right now, 2020, the most valuable resource of the modern age is attention. Getting and holding people's attention. We have thousands of marketing messages fired at us every single day. So if you can capture someone's attention, you've won half the battle. By sending engaging, personal-looking emails, you are gonna get their attention. People are gonna start to enjoy reading them, okay? And the other thing as well is that so many other marketing channels are crowded, right? Everyone's on Facebook, everyone's on Instagram, everyone's going live on Facebook at the moment. Do something a bit different. And I'm not saying don't do those things, but in addition, you can do this as well, okay? So incidentally as well, you've got to, let's have a look. Oh, do you want your voice said? I can't even read the half of that one. Right, so, okay, so let's have a look. Takeaway number 7 is sell the click, right? Okay, now again, this is one of the biggest issues that I see time and time again, okay? And what people tend to do is they mess up the subject line pretty badly, right? So if you think, what is the most important part of your email or any email, right? The most important part is the subject line, right? The subject line, because that's going to determine whether or not people open your email and actually engage with your content, right? So if you've got a bad subject line, you're out straight away, okay? Because they're not even going to open it. So the purpose of the subject line, the sole purpose, is just to get someone to open your email, okay? That is the sole purpose of the subject line. Because what I see people tend to do is they try and summarize the email in like under 10 words. That's a mistake. You shouldn't be doing that, right? Instead, the point of that is just to sell the click, get them to open it, right? People are going to scan through. If you imagine what you do, you've got your inbox on your phone, most people, you're scanning through and you're scanning down it, aren't you? To see which emails jump out, to see which ones people are going to bother to open and which they're not. So have a think about which emails you open. What do you open and what do you just scroll on past? And actually, if you see one, it really captures your attention, you should be thinking, what can I learn from this? How can I do something similar for my business? And likewise, the ones that you keep scrolling past, you don't want to be doing those ones, right? So think about what patterns these are creating, how you can learn from those. Here's a few little tips to help you get more of your emails opened, okay? First and foremost, ask questions. Again, we're hardwired as humans to want to answer questions and want to know the answers to them. So questions in your subject line are really good. So is use of intrigue, right? Anything that's a bit unusual, it's kind of like a pattern interrupt, is much more likely to get opened. You can test using emojis in your subject lines, because again, it's going to make it stand out when someone first glances on it, okay? You can use people's name. So if you have a name merge facility on your software that you use, you can use their name in the subject line, which is going to help the open rates. But again, you just want to make sure you stand out, right? That is one of the keys to getting those messages open. So, and also don't give it all away, right? Don't let them know what the whole purpose of the email is in the subject line, because then no one's going to open it because they already know, right? I see it all the time, people doing that. Don't do it. Instead, entice them into the email, and then you've got as much content as you want then, haven't you, to talk about it properly. Okay, so quick summary of those key takeaways. Now I'm going to give you some examples, okay? So key takeaway number 1, start writing emails as though you're emailing one of your friends, right? Key takeaway number 2 was that you don't need to be talking about business all of the time. Key takeaway 3 is you should be telling stories in your emails. Key takeaway 4 is that you don't want to be selling all of the time. Key takeaway number 5 is don't constantly promote those last minute spaces, because I get really angry when people do that. Be different is number 6. Number 7, number 7 was sell the click. And in the last minute and a half that we've got, if you're still not sure what to send, here's a couple of types of email that you can try this week, okay? So number 1 is the top tips email. This is so simple, right? You are an expert in your field. You know more than 99.9% of Joe and Joanne public do. So you can just produce some top tips. So maybe you're sending about top 5 ways to look after your hair in lockdown when you can't get to a hairdresser. Would your clients like that? Yes, I think they would find value in that, wouldn't they? Number 2, you can send currently a lockdown email, right? Checking in with people. How are you doing, right? That should be one that everyone should have said. How are you doing? Can I do anything to help you? So simple. Just show you care. Number 3 is the back soon email, right? So again, let your clients know you're coming back. Tell them that you're excited about coming back because you've got new stuff that's coming and you've painted the salon and you've got these fresh ideas. You know, send a bit of cheer out. It doesn't want to be doom and gloom. You're going to turn your clients off so quickly, okay? Interestingly as well, you've got number 4 is the Q&A email, right? Now, this is the top tip for any time that you're struggling to know what to put on social media or in an email, okay, is take any question that you or any of your staff have ever been asked in your salon and answer it in an email, okay? And that will give you an unlimited amount of ideas and unlimited amount of content. If every time one of your staff is asked a question, they write it down, then you've got an infinite amount of email and social media content there. You just pick a question and answer it, okay? And meet the team email. Show them your team. Open up a little bit. Show them behind the scenes. Again, people by people, okay? You can also send the what do you want to see email. Ask your audience for their feedback, okay? Maybe you want to engage them in some plans you've got moving forward, right? Or just ask them what they want to see your email content. A lot of people will tell you if only you ask them. And last, lady, take a look at this email. So this is great if you've published maybe a video on YouTube or a blog on your website, or maybe you've just gone live on Facebook. You can get some extra juice to that video or that blog by simply sending an email to your clients which say, oh, I've just done this and I think it's going to interest you. Click here, and you can send people through that way. Right, so that is the allocated time. We're going to do some questions. Have you enjoyed that? Put yes if you've enjoyed it. Let me know if that was any good. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm at It's Ryan Power, and you can join our free Facebook communities. If you just search Salonology in the Facebook feed, then you will find that. And if you ping me an email, Ryan at Salonology, you can get a free copy of my book, and it's a real actual book. And I'll send you a copy of the slides because I'm terribly sorry, but it seems they weren't formatted very well. And some of them might have been a little bit cut off. So apologies for that. So I think now we're going to answer some questions. So Amanda hopefully is here somewhere. Hey!
Yeah, hello Ryan, can you see me again? Hello, thank you for that.
I can see and hear you.
That was an amazing presentation. Everyone's been really enjoying it, and I think they've learned some top tips. And we have had some questions come through for you during it. So I'm just going to go through some of them. We had a question from Amanda Lee on Facebook, and she's asked, can you give her an example of an email cliffhanger?
Yeah, of course. So an email cliffhanger is basically, the cliffhanger is just the break in any story that you're telling. So ideally, you would be telling some sort of story. It might be, let's say, for example, if she's got let's say she's got a beauty business, right? And she might be wanting to bring out, let's say they're going to bring out a new product line and they've just got to deal with a new supplier. And it's just about kind of teasing that out. So you might send on the first part of the email, you know, good news, we've just come to this amazing deal with this new supplier and we're so excited to bring it to you. It's going to be awesome. And we'll tell you who it is tomorrow. And then straight away, everyone's like, oh, you know, and then, but how many people are going to open that next email? Everyone's going to open it, right? Because they want to know who it is. So you can do something like that, or indeed any story really can be chopped and made. You're not going to want to do them all the time, but you are going to want to weave them in occasionally.
Brilliant advice. And we've had another question from Lucy on Facebook, and she said, when you spoke about the offers that people tend to make in emails, are you saying never to do offers or to just do them less frequently?
Well, without knowing Lucy's business, it's hard to say, but typically I would recommend that where possible, you don't discount, but add value instead. So one of the things that I recommend that people who work with us do is, don't do the 25% off, 30% off sort of offers that you often see people doing. Number one, because they are a bit boring and it won't make you stand out. Number two, that just basically means 30% of your profit has gone. So it's a bit silly. But also, you can just do something more interesting by way of adding value. So if you buy this, you also get this, right? Or if you buy this, you'll get a bit of extra time on this. Or you can come back and have this, or whatever it might be. So I'm not saying don't ever do that, but I'm saying don't make all of your emails about that. Because you find with some, you get some companies, you'll buy something and then every email you get is trying to sell you something. And all that happens is you just end up unsubscribing and think less of them as a business as well.
That's true. And we've had a question from Michaela on the webinar platform, and she's just asked what platform you recommend using to send emails.
Okay, well, I use one called ConvertKit. And they have just, which is just convertkit.com. They have just brought out a free version of it as well. So if you've got under 100 subscribers, you don't have to pay. It's kind of similar to MailChimp, but it's got some slightly different, more advanced features. But I would recommend using something, even if it is MailChimp, which is like free for up to 2,000 subscribers. You're still better off using that than nothing. Because ultimately, especially nowadays, due to GDPR, you've got to offer people an unsubscribe link. So if you're sending them out of Hotmail or Gmail or something, then technically that is not kosher.
And Maria on the webinar platform has also commented and said that some clients might find it excessive to receive an email every week. What do you think with that?
Great question. And Maria, it is an objection which a lot of people have, and everyone gets fearful of that. But let me tell you a little story about something which happened to us with our spa. We used to send emails once a month, okay? Because we thought that was the right thing to do. And again, we were, oh, they might get a bit annoyed with us if we send too many, right? So we did that. And then we went to a seminar, and we heard this guy who was saying that he was sending them every day. And we were like, every day? That's ridiculous. So we thought, oh, well, let's just test it and see what happens. So we started sending 2 a month and we got better responses. So then we moved to 1 a week and we got better responses. And then we moved to 2 a week. And again, we found that the more emails that we sent, the better our relationships were being and the more sales that we were making, the more clicks we were getting. So that was what we did, and it worked for us. What I would recommend that Maria does is test it with her market, okay? A lot of the time, we think our clients will have a fear that actually they don't have. Maybe it's a fear that we've got, and if that is the case, maybe Maria doesn't like getting emails once a week. Well, that's fine, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your clients won't appreciate that. And also, furthermore, it depends what type of email you're sending. Some of the emails I send might only be 2 lines long. So I don't think I'm going to offend anyone, but I just want to give them that little reminder that I'm here so that they don't forget about me.
And Lisa has asked, would you recommend sending emails to clients you know have visited the salon in the last 6 months, or would you always send it to all of your database?
What a brilliant question. Who was it that asked that?
Lisa Young.
Lisa Young, what a wonderful question. Well, Lisa, what I would actually recommend that you do is if you use a email software provider, then they can let you segment your audiences. So you've got your audience and then you can actually add tags to the different people. So for example, you might have one tag which would be someone who's seen you in the last month, or another tag might be this client comes in for waxing. Another client might be this, another tag might be this client comes in for cryolipolysis, for example. And then actually what I would recommend you do is you send different emails to all those different groups of people, so that the person that you know is a waxing client, for example, would get waxing specific emails. And the client who is a cryolipolysis client gets slightly different ones again. And whilst some emails might go to everyone, if you can segment people, it means that then you're talking to their pain points and you're helping them with what their problems are. And that's going to bring them a bit closer to you than the generic dear all type email.
Yeah, really good advice. I guess it's just being a little bit smarter when you're sending those emails out, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what it also is, Amanda. It's actually giving it a bit of forethought, because a lot of people think, oh, I haven't sent an email for a few weeks. Oh, quick. And it's like the knee-jerk, I'll just fire anything out. And that's part of the problem. Whereas actually, what I recommend people do is you just sit down on the first of the month and just plan out the month's worth of emails. And if you then still want to fire another one out that's reactive to what's happening in your business that week, then you can. But at least then you've got those kind of guaranteed ones already mapped out. So if all else fails and everything goes bonkers one week, it's still going out to everyone, right?
Yeah. And then we've had a couple of people, Michelle and Gemma, have sort of asked very similar questions, so I'm going to put them forward. But they've said that when you're sending emails out and you've advised to make it sound like you're writing to one person, how do you achieve that when you're actually sending that email out to many people?
Well, I think it's just in the tone of the voice that you use and the language that you use. So, as I mentioned, for example, one of the biggest turnoffs is if you start an email with "Dear all" or "Dear subscriber" or "Dear everyone." So, any language like that has got to go out of the window straight away.
Mm.
And then, literally, think about the language you would use if you were talking one person to one person. That language would be different to if you were addressing a whole group of people. So it's literally in terms of using, you as opposed to all, for
Mm.
example, on the most simplest of levels, and just making it in a more chatty style.
Yeah.
So one thing that I actually recommend that some people do is, if you've got a clear idea of who your dream target client is, get a picture out of a magazine, cut a picture out of someone who looks like what that person looks like to you, stick it next to your computer and look at them and look at the picture before you actually send the email, and try and get in the mindset of, right, what would they really like to hear from me? How can I really help them today? Not how can I sell them
Yeah.
something, how can I help them? And then sit and write it as if you're just writing it just to them. And as I say, if you think about how you would space it out, all those things would be done very
Mm.
differently if you were writing to one person than if you were writing to loads and loads of people.
Mm. And we've just had another question from Claire, and she said, would you still use MailChimp for plain text emails, or would you use another email distribution manager?
You can still use MailChimp, but just don't use the fancy templates that they try and push on you.
And I actually had a question for you, Ryan, as well. So you spoke about subject lines and the importance of them. Are there any kind of key words that people shouldn't use in subject lines that people use all the time, kind of big no-nos?
Good question. Well, in terms of, yes, there are several actually. Certain words will set off the spam filters.
Mm.
So if you put anything in capital letters, then you're asking to go into the spam folder.
Ah.
Particularly the word "free" in capital letters, because that's just got "I'm trying to sell stuff" written all over it. So
Mm.
that is a massive no-no. Any profanity, one would obviously, that's going to get flagged straight
Yeah.
away. Anything that looks like it's trying to sell, so anything with like 3 exclamation marks at the end, anything like that is going to get
Mm.
flagged for spam straight away. So anything that looks like it is overtly salesy is
Yeah.
probably going to be a bad idea, and it's probably not going to get opened. Likewise, anything like 10% off, 20% off, anything like that,
Mm.
it's just not going to interest people enough unless they're like a super fan of yours and they open everything, right? Or really bored. Then it's probably not going to do the right thing. What I would recommend, conversely, of words that are good are words such as secret. Secret is an absolute brilliant one. People love secrets or
Yeah.
insider tips or hints or anything like that. People like anything that creates intrigue. And sometimes what I also like to do, actually, here's a massive tip actually that I will share before we end up, is what I do is I write my email first and then I write the subject line last.
Mm.
Most people think about what it's going to be like. What am I doing about? Oh, I'm going to talk about feet today. All right, I'll write a headline. They write a headline or subject line, and then they write the email. What I like to do is I do it the other way around, and that means I come up with much better subject lines.
Mm.
So what I would do is typically I try and tell a story of some sort in the body of my email, and then I'll often pick out an obscure bit of it, and I'll link that into the subject line. So I often send emails. They might have a subject line, something like, it'll have like rhubarb in it or something totally random. And then people are like, why is he sending me an email about random? And if that intrigues them enough to open the email, then bang, the subject line has done its job. As long as you then do link back into it in some way in your email, that's a really smart way that you can help. It's not about trying to trick people,
Yeah.
but it's about linking it back up and in, basically.
Yeah, and Brian, luckily we do have an extra sort of 10-15 minutes buffer just in case extra questions have come through, which they have. So
Let's
I'm
go.
trying my best to get through these for everyone.
All right.
We just had one come through on Facebook from Kerry, and she said, I'm rubbish with the tech stuff, so I want someone else to manage my campaigns, but should I still write the content?
Yes. What I would recommend, Kerry, is if you want to get a web person or a VA or someone to actually do the physical sending of it, then great. What I would do is, as long as you're good at writing, or reasonable at it, right? You don't have to be Shakespeare, but as long as you can communicate a message from one human to another human, then you can probably manage it. Then I would write it yourself, because actually you want the emails to be in your voice.
Yeah.
So, for example, what I try and do, and I don't know if I achieve it, I hope I do, that when my clients read my emails, they can almost hear my voice in their, as they're reading it. And when you can do that, that's when you know you've kind of cracked that element of it. So yes, Kerry, I would write it yourself. Also, here's another tip that people can do. If you're really bad at writing and you hate writing, and you know that you've got to write content for your website or your blog or your emails or whatever it might be, all you need to do is get an app like Otter, for example, otter.ai. It basically turns your phone into a dictaphone, and you just talk into it as you would normally, and then they email you the file of the words, and then you can just copy and paste that straight into an email. And if you do it that way, A, it takes a fraction of the time, but B, a lot of people find it much easier to talk than they do write. And it then means you end up with like a chatty, talkative style of email, which is really good.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that tool before. I actually might use that. It could
Yeah,
be
it's
very
amazing.
beneficial for me.
You get 600 minutes a month for free.
That's amazing. We've had some more questions. So Kelly has asked, if you haven't emailed clients for a while, especially during COVID-19 time, what's a good way to start your email?
Okay. Well, I would, if it were I would be emailing purely from a basis of checking in with them and showing that you care. So I would make it about them, and I would have it as a really short email, which is not in a fancy template, which is so plain text, it's ridiculous. And it might only be 2 lines long, Amanda, maybe not even that, Oh, hi, Sue. I just wanted to reach out and just check you were okay. Is there anything you need help with? And actually, and leave it at that, and leave it literally at that. No more than that is required. And what will happen is you will probably get a flurry of replies from people saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you've reached out to me. Thank you so much." No one else has. Do you think their car garage has emailed them? I very much doubt it, right? So we're supposed to be in an industry where we're caring for people, right? So make them feel better about themselves by showing them that you give a hoot.
Yeah. Also, Ryan, I feel like somebody who knows you's just revealed a little secret about you, because Sarah Henson has said you didn't do the otter dance this time, Ryan. Do you normally do a dance when you talk about the otter app?
I mentioned the app on a boot camp that we're running on Monday, and I think in the spur of the moment, I did an impression of an otter, which was kind of like that, really, more than anything.
I see. Yeah, Sarah let the cat out of the bag.
She did rather, didn't she? Thanks, Sarah.
We also had another question from Emmy, and she said, should you always include a footer with contact details and social links in every email?
Yes, I would. So actually, that is a great question, because the email footer, and again, I wouldn't have it as like a coloured strip, all singing, all dancing. I would make it plain text, or when I say plain text, I'd make it so that it is clickable, but it looks plain text. And again, what I would tend to do is I would have some method of communication in there, but also it's a brilliant place to very covertly promote stuff. So what I would do in my if I sent you an email, for example, well, you've seen my emails, Amanda, but if I sent anyone else an email, then I'd have my name, as everyone does, and your job title, and then I have another couple of lines underneath that which would say something like, "Would you like a free copy of my book? Click here." And that then goes out on every single email, and I've tracked these, so I know that works. But it's so inoffensive, because it's just like, well, that's just my email footer, Yeah. So it's a really, really soft way to promote stuff. So good ones that you can do for the salon would be, "Can you leave us a review here?" is a brilliant one. Stick the link to your Google review in your email footer, and then it's going out on every single email you ever send. That is like super smart ninja tip right there.
Yeah. And we've had another question actually from Nicola, and she's asked, are there any fonts that are best to use in emails, and are there any times that are best to send emails out on?
Okay. In terms of the best fonts, then I would say that you should have it as a font which is the easiest to read. and I would just use, like, you know, the plain sans serif or whatever it's called in Gmail, right? Just the most plain, inoffensive, normal size font that just looks like a plain email. I don't think in which one you use matters, but don't use Comic Sans or anything ridiculous like that. Just make it look, as I say, as plain as possible. And in terms of what time, that's a great question. And what I would recommend that people do is I recommend that they experiment with different times of the day. So again, if you're using some form of email software, then they are going to give you feedback on your open rates and your click-through rates and all those things. So you can kind of test it a little bit. Try and think, put yourself in the shoes of your clients and try and think about what they might be doing when you're sending that email. Because again, when you schedule it, you can send it at any time you want. You don't have to be there doing it live. Yeah. But think about when you might want someone to consume that content. So you might want to send it 7 o'clock in the morning before they get up and start the day. Or actually, if lots of your clients are young mums, you might not want to send it then, because that might be a bonkers time of the day for them. You might want to send it at 9 p.m. when you know they might be reading it in bed or whatever it might be. So you need to kind of get inside the mind of your client a little bit. I know someone who had a great response because they always used to send them at like 2:45 because they thought the mums were waiting to pick the kids up from school and they were just sat looking at their phones at that point. So again, the key to almost all marketing that you do is to test stuff, try something, measure it, see if it works, and then see if you can try and beat it with the next one.
And I know a lot of people have been asking about how to get Ryan's book. He's posted the email address in the comment box, and we'll put that on Facebook as well. So if you guys just comment, send a message there, you should get that book. But Ryan, I think that's all we've got time for the Q&A part. I just want to let you know we've had an absolute outpouring of love on Facebook and on the webinar platform for you. And there was just one little message on Facebook I wanted to share because it really made me laugh. From Catherine Walker, and she said she's currently getting funny looks in Asda listening to this webinar while doing her essential shop. So, you know, Ryan, someone's doing the shop while also listening to you.
That is incredible dedication, Catherine. That's amazing, and I appreciate you very much.
Yeah, but thank you, everybody. This webinar session will be available on PB's YouTube can't speak anymore. Professional Beauty's YouTube page tomorrow morning. So if you did want to go back and listen to any of the answers that Ryan's given or look back on the slides, and I know a few of you have asked about the slides as well, and I think Ryan's going to make them available for you guys as well. But otherwise, thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a really interesting session. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We've got more webinars lined up this week, so do make sure that you tune in. But stay safe, stay healthy, everybody, and we'll see you soon. And Ryan, I'll probably see you at some point at an event in the future as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. See you later, everybody. Bye. Thanks so much again, Ryan. Bye.